Some fantastic and important stories about Tesla, xAI, and OpenAI today. First, in a test comparing head-to-head Tesla's full self-driving version 13.2 versus Waymo, who do you think won? In this specific trial, Waymo took 3 times longer, 43 minutes, to get to the destination versus taking FSD just 16 minutes. Elon Musk agreed with a comment that Tesla is extending its lead. We'll review how fast FSD is scaling its rate of improvement. Second, we have 3 video clips to show you of Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, being interviewed. He agrees that xAI is a serious competitor to them, and he shares his thoughts on the fallout between Elon and him. Finally, a new report is saying that according to the Greater Memphis Chamber, xAI apparently is planning on expanding its supercomputer to 1 million GPUs. This will make it 10 times larger than the largest supercomputer in the world today. And the perfect person to ask all these questions to is Larry Goldberg. He knows quite a bit about all these supercomputers. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Herbert. Great to be here.
Sometimes I wonder if you were actually in that room with Jensen Huang and Sam Altman and Elon Musk. You know so much about NVIDIA and the GPUs. Were you? I think you were.
No, I wasn't in the room.
Yeah, okay.
Not even close to the room.
Elon's always in the room. Okay, so here is Omar. He's been testing out FSD version 13.2, and so far, everybody who's testing it, they're all raving about it. Chuck Cook says it's ready to go wide. AI Driver says he's wrong what he said a month ago. This is actually the real deal. So Omar tested 13.2 versus Waymo head-to-head. Same start point, same end point. Both arrived with 0 interventions. But the kicker was Tesla had fewer awkward moments and arrived in 15 minutes, while Waymo took 43 minutes to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And we're not going to watch the whole thing. Obviously, we're just going to play it while you talk. But basically, this is it. He did a same starting point, same ending point, and it's just about the time. Were you able to see this? And any thoughts on why?
Well, I didn't see it, to be honest. But you know, I've had a very hectic couple of days. But I just wonder who's going to have the patience to take a Waymo car if it's going to take 3 times longer. I mean, seriously, the reason we take cars, and by the way, I was wondering about the level of traffic for the various vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's roughly the same. So I don't think that was the problem. But look, I mean,
it's hard to tell. What the reasons were. So yeah, we can't read too much into this. This is just a one-time thing. Like you said, it
no,
can just
actually,
be
this is the second time he's compared timings on the 2 vehicles.
That's true. Yeah.
And so, I think we can take it. But, when you go 3 times the amount of time.
Yeah, that's right. There's something different. Yeah.
It is definitely a big issue. Big issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. So Elon did reply to it. First, I guess Brad Gerstner.
Yeah,
Brad Gerstner, which is the BG2 podcast. He is the a principal at Altimeter Capital. He recently was pretty significant, I think $1 billion or $2 billion investor in Uber. He sold all of that just a couple of weeks ago, and he bought Tesla, and he changed his tune. So he said, as said on the pod, it's all about rate of change. Waymo building a tailored, city-based robotaxi solution. Tesla is building FSD for all driving. Robotaxi, a subset of the other, right? Led to radically different approaches and outcomes. Tesla, and we'll show you what they showed here, the report, that we've already seen in 2024 alone, a 1,000 times improvement in FSD, and it's extending its lead. Elon said, true. And then Frida Duan, who is also a principal at Altimeter Capital, she does a lot of research. She said the power of scaling laws and rapidly maturing product. So first scaling, 1,000 times improvement in disengagement ratio since January. Expect FSD to be safer than a human driver by the second quarter of 2025. Miles per reported accident is going to be around 550,000 if that happens. The scaling momentum is set to continue, driven by more data, advanced hardware, especially if you expect the AI 5 next summer, and greater training capacity. The product few truly appreciate it, but with features like integrated unpark, reverse park, improved camera cleaning, pulling over, and precise driveway garage parking, which is what FSD 13 has, it's really a complete product at this point. So as the product scales and improves, the dream of robotaxi is rapidly moving closer to reality. She had shared this table before. I don't think it's changed from what we're looking now, but she's showing you that this is actually from Tesla. Tesla is reporting this, telling you where it was just in the beginning of this year, first quarter 24, second quarter 24. This is the leap to 12, version 12. And now as we go to version 13, we are actually seeing, so there's already been 100 times improvement. We are actually seeing this 5 times improvement of that 100 times improvement. We are seeing that already. So that is showing you that we're seeing scaling exponential growth already. In order to hit human driver level, it's got to get here. And Tesla's predicting by the second quarter of 25, there will be another jump in scale. What's your thoughts on everything you just saw there?
Well, everything's trending right. Everything's trending in the right direction. This is very encouraging. V13 is very encouraging. I mean, some of the test drivers are extremely critical. You know, Chuck Cook doesn't let anything get past him. And so if he says, wow, then it truly is wow. So I'm very hopeful. I think what we're seeing is that training power has a big impact on results. And the other thing we're seeing is that AI4 is definitely better than AI3. I didn't think there would be as big a distinction. I may have been wrong, but it'd be interesting to see now how V13 operates under AI3. Somebody actually, you know, put out a meme about they had V13 on AI3. I actually misread that to be real. So they fooled me, but I'm really keen to see that AI3 V13. Anyway, that's an aside. The bottom line is we're definitely seeing this rate of improvement that we hoped for. It looks like our hopes have been realized.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's switch gears to Sam Altman of OpenAI, the CEO of OpenAI. And he was asked the question, do you see Elon Musk's XAI as a competitor to you or not?
How much do you see XAI as a competitor? We talk about Google, obviously, all the time. And we talk about Anthropic and to some degree Microsoft. And I don't know where you think Amazon is. We'll talk to Jeff Bezos this afternoon. But how do you see that?
They're a competitor.
Do you think of them as one of your biggest competitors? I mean, it appears that they are coming on super strong.
Yeah, I assume they'll be a really serious competitor.
Did you expect that?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
And what are they doing? And what are they doing? And how have they been able to literally spin up a company that feels, I'm not claiming it's comparable to what you're doing, but getting super close, super fast? Meaning, what is that?
Well, a lot of the models at the frontier are all pretty close now. But certainly tremendous respect for how quickly they built that data center.
Is that, by the way, do you fear that all this becomes commoditized as a result? I mean, if it seems like, I'm not saying anybody can do it, but it just seems like, what is your advantage? And by the way, what is your disadvantage?
I think the technology itself, to the degree you believe deep learning is just like, sort of like a law of physics, and that we discovered an important new piece of science, then yes, that part will be done by lots of people. Everybody has their analogy for what AI is like. You know, I saw Sundar's going to be here. He talks about it like electricity. A whole bunch of others. People talk about like the Industrial Revolution. Some people talk about like the Renaissance. The one I like is the transistor. There was a thing, a scientific discovery, that a few companies discovered first, that transformed our society, that scaled unbelievably well. Like, you know, when people talk about scaling laws, the best analogy for that, I think, is Moore's Law. And that came to be used by a lot of companies in all of the world. Like, look at all the things in this room with transistors, but we don't think about that as a transistor device, and we don't think about Google as a transistor company, even though they wouldn't be here without one. And I kind of think that's what's going to happen with AI. there will be shockingly capable models widely available, used for everything. And it will be inconceivable to people in the future that the devices, the products and services they use are not really smart. And they won't all call themselves AI companies or AI products. And in that sense, in some sense, the AI itself, the reasoning engine nature of it will become commoditized. And that's fine, that's good. Like, science should be just diffused throughout society. And that's why we're focused on building things like ChatGPT.
He didn't really answer the question, what is your advantage? Sounds like he agreed that it's all going to be commoditized. But of course, XAI came out of the blue, was so far behind, and now they're equal. And he says, yeah, they're all equal at this point. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm a contrarian to all of this. I don't think we are yet. I don't think we've solved AI yet. I think we have an interesting product that has interesting results, but it is far from perfect. And I think there's another layer. There's another something that we're going to have to resolve to solve AI. Interestingly enough, I think for driving, the generative model is much better than the large language model is for, reasoning. So I think that the large language model, I think the reasoning function is still under suspicion for accuracy, and I don't think it. I think that many of critical functions will have to go to there'll have to be something in addition to solve it. So, what do I think of what Sam thinks? Not much, because he doesn't say much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't say much. Okay, and XAI and OpenAI, I'm sure that they start off at the same place, but it seems like how Elon is. He's thinking of things differently than the others are.
Yeah.
We'll see where XAI ends up. I know that you have said that you believe that X, previously Twitter, is going to be the most profitable, biggest company, bigger than XAI, bigger than Tesla.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah, because it's unbounded in terms of product and business line. When I say unbounded, I think we have a very clear sense of the boundaries of what Tesla is. We have a very clear sense of what the boundaries are of what SpaceX is. But with X, it feels like it's boundless. It feels like the businesses it can go into, whether it's search, whether it's payments, whether it's shopping, whether it's communication, whether it ties in with all the other Elon companies, I don't know, but it just feels like it's boundless in capacity. So I really think that X is going to be the glue that binds all of the Musk companies together.
Interesting. Like the way you think, Larry. Okay, so let's go back to Sam Altman. So if people remember, Sam and Elon and Jensen, Sam and Elon started OpenAI. Elon put in millions, 10 million, even maybe 100, I think 100 million.
I thought 40 million.
Okay, to start the company, to start the nonprofit organization, and Jensen Huang donated the first, chips, the GPUs that are available. And then, of course, Sam decides to not turn it to OpenAI anymore. Elon says, I don't like where the direction is, and they have a falling out. Let's listen to how Sam thinks the situation is at this point regarding this.
One of the other questions, and it is Elon related, is you are now moving towards having a for-profit component part of your business. Right now, it's a not-for-profit. And he, as everybody knows, if you read the papers, is suing you over this and many other things. How do you feel? I actually just want to ask you on a very personal level, forgetting about even the merits of the case. As a guy who has spent a lot of time with him, and you guys founded this thing together. How you feel personally today about all this? Just as a human.
Tremendously sad. I grew up with Elon as like a mega hero. I thought what Elon was doing was absolutely incredible for the world. And I'm still, of course, I have different feelings about him now, but I'm still glad he exists. And not just because, no, I mean that genuinely. Not just because I think his like companies are awesome, which I do think, but because I think he like at a time when most of the world was not thinking very ambitiously, he pushed a lot of people, me included, to think much more ambitiously. And I'm grateful is like the wrong kind of word, but I'm like thankful, I'm positive about that. You know, we started OpenAI together, and then at some point he like totally lost faith in OpenAI and decided to go his own way. And that's fine too, but I think of Elon as a builder and someone who, like, you know, known thing about Elon, he really cares about being the guy. But I think of him as someone that if he's not, that just competes in the market and in technology and whatever else, and doesn't resort to lawfare. And, you know, whatever the stated complaint is, what I believe is he's just like, he's a competitor and we're doing well. And that's sad to see.
Oh, you have to listen very closely to what he's saying. There's little jabs here and there. Oh, God. What'd you get?
You know, I think it's an unfair question at an unfair time. I mean, when you've been served a summons in a court of law, it's not a good feeling. And I have to say that he was quite gracious. Mm-hmm. Given the circumstances, he was quite gracious. I don't think it's a fair question, and it's not a fair time. So, what can I tell you? I mean,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's trying to be careful, but then you can actually see he was trying to hold back what he actually meant to say, but he still put it in there. Okay. So you got, he was asked, where do you think? When are we going to get to, super intelligence? Where's AI going to be in the next year or two? Pretty interesting.
The next big question that we're all asking, I can't even believe we're just asking it 2 years later, and you actually just wrote about it. You said that it is possible that we will have super intelligence in a few thousand days from now. 2 years ago, did you think that? And when you say a few thousand days, I can do various versions of math on what that means.
Well, I mean, there is wide uncertainty, and there's also different definitions of what superintelligence is. Yes, 2 years ago, we thought we were on a pretty steep curve. I mean, we started OpenAI because we thought this was possible and maybe not that far away. And it has gone well, but we hoped it was going to go well. Like we believed in deep learning as this unbelievable new discovery of humanity, and we thought it could go here, and we had a duty to get it here and to make it go well and to broadly share the benefits. But yeah, we did think we could get here, and we still believe we can get here. It's not for sure. There's a ton of hard work, a ton of research and engineering still to do, but I think it's possible. And I think it's possible not super far in the future. I expect that in 2025, we will have systems that people look at, even people who are skeptical of current progress, and say, wow, I did not expect that. That does change what.
Like what?
Agents are the thing everyone is talking about, I think for good reason. This idea that you can give an AI system a pretty complicated task, like a kind of task you'd give to a very smart human that takes a while to go off and do and use a bunch of tools and create something of value. That's the kind of thing I'd expect next year. And that's like a huge deal. We talk about that like, oh, this thing is going to happen. But that's like, if that works as well as we hope it does, that can really transform things.
Okay, so what are we supposed to think? There's been a whole bunch of headlines in the past couple of weeks where people have talked actually about maybe that the scaling laws of AI actually are slowing down. And you put out this, I don't know if it was cryptic or it was very direct. You put out a tweet where you wrote, "There is no wall."
I don't see how it could be any less cryptic than that. Like, that was an attempt not to be cryptic at all and say, hey, this is going to keep going. In fact, hopefully this will put it to rest, at least for a while. I've always been struck by how much people love to speculate on, is there a wall? Is scaling going to keep going? And like, rather than just like look at the curve of progress and say, maybe I shouldn't bet against an exponential like that. In any case, we have a bunch of new great stuff. So we're doing this kind of fun thing for the holidays. We're doing 12 days of OpenAI starting tomorrow, where we're going to launch. We'll either launch something or do a demo every day for the next like 12 weekdays. And without saying too much about the thing for tomorrow, it is continued progress.
Yeah, so it ties it into our first story, right? Like if you see already where FSD has gone from where it was just a year ago to where it is, and then where it happened the second one, people are betting that it's not going to be scaling. They think it's going to wrap. It can happen for sure. It can certainly be so. But if you see it scaling, why would you ever bet and say, well, no, it's not going to keep scaling? Yeah.
I said before on your show that I didn't think that large language models were the end of the story. I think they have some specific and clear flaws. I think there has to be something else. There has to be there is an undiscovered part of the story that has to be discovered first. And I was thinking about it after I spoke about it, and try to figure out in my own mind what is the difference between full self-driving and large language models. In other words, these. So I actually figured it out that in full self-driving, the ground truth is always apparent to the vehicle within milliseconds or seconds. Mm. There is just a reality that is forced upon the vehicle. So even though the process is probabilistic, the fact of the reality is imposed upon the car within milliseconds, imposed upon the system, sorry, not the car, but the system within milliseconds. That is not true for a large language model. For a large language model, it's probabilistic, and there is always the probability that it's going to be wildly, wildly wrong. It's going to be on the tail. And that's true of full self-driving too, but we have this, the truth will out very rapidly. Within a few milliseconds, it's going to see, oh my God, I made a mistake.
Yeah,
I've got to revise. So I still believe that there is a layer that the resort to reality, or the resort to determinative reality, is the piece that's missing. I'll probably get a lot of hate mail from that.
Why? I think this is brilliant concept. It just made my mind clearer. Thank you. That was a brilliant concept.
It's probably flawed, and I'm going to discover tomorrow.
I don't think so. Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, it deserves more consideration of what you just said, because if that is true, what you're saying, and it sounds like it is logically, then there's a argument to be made that FSD, while very critical because you can kill people, but it could actually scale faster, learn faster, because you know what is the right move, the right thing. I like this a lot, Larry. That's smart. I'm going to think about it.
I charge extra for these ideas.
You get a lot. Okay, fine. Well, I'll give you $6 billion. So here's XAI just revealed that they raised another $6 billion. So they're just throwing money at it. And meanwhile, where's Tesla? How come Tesla's not an investor in XAI? I'm so upset about this at this point. I think we need to be making a ruckus. Then this news came out also that apparently, according to Memphis, City Council, they said that XAI says they're going to expand their supercomputer that they're building there to 1 million GPUs. 1 million GPUs. So this is coming from the Greater Memphis Chamber. So they must have, to give them the permits required. because to build one, they have right now 100,000 GPUs, and I know that there's plans to add another 100,000. That's probably on its way to be 200,000. I think even maybe by the end of this year, like this month. But then they've already purchased the B200s, and so but then the whole plan is to get to 1 million GPUs. So where does it say here? Where was it now? It's going to be a tenfold increase. And then, of course, this is why they need to approve it, right? Environmental concerns, lawmakers scrutinizing these data centers. And so the Southern Environmental Law Center called on local Tennessee officials to verify whether xAI was using gas turbines to help power supercomputer without the required air permits. And that's why they're doing all this. And that's why we found out this info. What do you think about it? Is this old news that they're going to build 1 million large supercomputer?
I don't think that's old news. I think, 1 million, it would have been inconceivable, certainly in one site. I mean, I think if you look at all of Google's CPUs and all of Google's processors across the entire Google firm, I don't know what you'd get to, but quite a lot. But 1 million in one site, really, I mean, really? I was talking to somebody today who's, building, fusion power. There are quite a few of these fusion startups, and, fusion is, famously always going to be 40 years in the future. But they are talking about actually, going live, 2030, and they're actually, so if we get fusion power in 2030, then maybe Elon's going to put fusion power in Memphis to solve this problem. It's possible. It's truly incredible. It is truly incredible what he's doing, and all of this while he's running Doge. I mean, it boggles the mind.
Yeah, I'm curious how he thinks he's going to power this data center. We're going to hear about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, and Memphis does have a lot of hydro. It has access to a lot of hydro, and maybe that is a mix. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, well, Elon certainly thinks big, and I think you think big too, Larry. So I appreciate your comments today. Follow him on his X account. You get this kind of gem information here on this show and on his X account. Larry is Tesla Larry on X. Thank you, Larry. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.